Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with news topic list. Today is 29th of March. The first news is protest in Lok Sabha over the criminal procedure identification bill. This is something very important for prelims also. We'll see the detail about this. Second, panel to look into elephant death. This is again something concerning Government of India and other environmentalists. Third news, proposal for more electronic products under the PLI scheme. This is the special scheme, that is production link incentive scheme that government has come up with. We'll see the detail what more electronic product would be included in this. Second last, olive red turtle spotted in the new island for nesting. And the last is an editorial, sub-regional grouping that must get back on course. So this is an editorial from Hindu. We'll understand the detail about this editorial as well, which talks about some of the important significant issues related to BIMSTEC and environmental concern. Now, apart from this, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based question. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. If you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. And just to tell you that we are organizing open mock test, which is known as Prelims Mirror. And this is something which will help you to get an edge over the upcoming prelims examination. For more details, you can reach out to the description section of this video, जहाँ पे मैंने एक dedicated link दी है. आप उसे register कर सकते हैं और free में इस mock test को ले पाएंगे. And those who are performing well will be the top 20 rankers would be getting 50% flat discount on the CSE Prelims test series. Plus, they will also be availing 6 months of IAS Guest and monthly magazine subscription. So do check it out. This is a time that you can avail the benefit out of it. Now, starting with the first news of the day, that is protest in Lok Sabha over the criminal procedure identification bill. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 2. That is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it, design and implementations, right? So the Union Home Minister is set to table the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 और ये preservations जो records की जाती है identification और investigations के लिए वो parliament में table होनी है, and this would set another level of standard that is going to be there in the part of investigation for any criminal or any accused. So the proposed law seeks to repeal the Identification of Prisoner Act 1920. This is a law or act that was actually being formulated before independence, right? तो यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ amendment करने की कोशिश की है, which is aligned with the present context of criminal procedures. But the Lok Sabha or the opposition party has raised concern with regard to this bill. Now, feature of this bill, क्या क्या ऐसे important feature है इस bill के? The bill proposes to allow police to collect the fingerprint impression. जिस तरह से जो चीजें आधार में ली जाती है, these all things can be taken by a police officer. So the bill allow police officers to collect finger impression, palm print impression, footprint impressions, photograph, iris, retina scan, physical and biological samples and their analysis, right? ताकि एक जो behavioral attribute है, उसके signature, handwriting, वो सारी चीजों को जो पुलिस ऑफिसर है वो अपने पास एज अ रिपोजिटरी मेंटेन कर सके, राइट? एंड द बिल आल्सो सीक्स टू अप्लाई दिस प्रोविजन टू प्रिजनर under any preventive detention of the law. So this is something changes that has been proposed, and these sort of thing has been included, which has raised a concern also with regard to the right to privacy. वो मैं आपको आगे डिटेल में बताऊंगा. Now the National Crime Record Bureau, that is NCRB, would be acting as a repository for all the data that would be collected by the police officer. चाहे वो physical data हो, biological samples हो, signatures हो, handwriting हो, these data would be preserved for at least 75 years for an individual. Again, factually important point, कितने साल तक preserve रखनी है? For 75 years. Now there's a power which is given to magistrate to direct any person to give measurements and empower the police ताकि वो किसी ऑफिसर्स को डायरेक्ट कर पाएँ और पुलिस ऑफिसर के पास वो पावर होगी कि वो उस इंडिविजुअल की जो मेजरमेंट या जो आइडेंटिफिकेशन की जरूरत है वो उसे ले पाए. नाउ इन्फोग्राफ दैट विल गिव यू एन आइडिया. दिस इज इजी फॉर रिविजन ऑल्सो. सो जो क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर आइडेंटिफिकेशन बिल 2022 है, दिस विल अलाउ पुलिस एंड प्रिजनर अथॉरिटीज टू स्टोर एंड एनालाइज डेटा, चाहे वो फिजिकल सैंपल्स हो, बायोलॉजिकल सैंपल्स हो, इंक्लूडिंग रेटिना आइरिस स्कैन ऑफ द कन्विक्ट्स, राइट? As I've told you, it will give a repealment of identification प्रिजन एक्ट 1920 जो मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया, वो आप इसको यहाँ पे शॉर्ट फॉर्म में पढ़ सकते हैं. दिस वुड बी स्टोर फॉर 75 years. The new bill expand the measurement that include iris, signature, handwriting, biological samples. And if a person is not a criminal background, he is released without trial or acquitted by the court, all record of the measurement shall be destroyed. तो ये सारी चीज़ें अगर कोर्ट ने उसको एक्विट कर दिया या डिस्चार्ज कर दिया तो वो पूरी तरह से रिकॉर्ड्स को बाद में डिस्ट्रॉय कर दी जाएगी. Now, protest by the opposition party. The opposition party has raised concern. So the opposition member have argued the bill was beyond the legislative competence of the parliament and it violates the fundamental right of the citizen, including the right to privacy. Right to privacy is something very, very important for your mains examination. और UPSC इस पर कभी भी सवाल पूछ सकती है. ऑलरेडी UPSC ने सब पार्ट्स में राइट टू प्राइवेसी पे क्वेश्चंस पूछे हुए हैं. एंड दिस राइट टू प्राइवेसी इज समवेयर अटैच्ड टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट रीसेंट जजमेंट in case Puttaswamy cases where it has held that right to privacy is pivotal, right? तो कुछ आर्ग्यू ये की गई है कि जिस तरह से ये चीज़ें की जा रही हैं which can again lead to narco analysis, plane mapping and claim that it will violate article 23 of the constitution as well as supreme court की जो judgment है case Puttaswamy cases में उसकी भी violations होंगी. This is the reason being the opposition party has raised concern. Now, the other news panel to look into elephant death. This particular news is important for General Studies paper 3, conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and EIA. So to prevent elephant death और जिस तरह से रेलवे ट्रैक में डेथ रिपोर्ट की गई है, जो यूनियन एनवायरनमेंट मिनिस्ट्री है, दे हैव कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड अ परमानेंट कोऑर्डिनेटिंग कमिटी जहाँ पे रिप्रेजेंटेशंस होंगे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रेलवे की तरफ से भी एंड मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट की तरफ से भी. सो दिस इज टू इंश्योर खास करके वैसी डेथ, द डेथ maximum reported on the railway track has to be reduced because we have seen n number of elephant dying on the railway track because of the reason we have as less numbers of elephant reporting in our country as well. तो जितनी भी डेथ इस वजह से हो रही है उसको रोकने की कोशिश कर रही है गवर्नमेंट और जो रिप्रेजेंटेशन है दैट वुड बी कमिंग फ्रॉम मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रेलवे एंड द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट. So data on death of animal, according to the Environment Ministry, 19 elephants were killed across the country on the railway track in 2018-19. 14 elephant की death हुई है for 1920 and 12 elephants were found dead for 20 and 21, right? And if you look into the data, elephant killed in each railway zone की अगर बात करें, सबसे ज़्यादा death report की गई है North East Frontier Zone पे, 28 is a number. This is for 2016 to 18. Then followed by South Eastern, there 13 is a number. Then again with the Southern Railways, that is the Southern Eastern Railway Zone with 5 in number. Again, these are 4 and the least has been reported in Eastern Coast and South Eastern Coast, that is number 1 and number 1. So these are some of the important data that you must know and these data is directly from the Ministry of Railway that was tabled in the Lok Sabha. Now, government ने क्या क्या ऐसे steps लिए हैं to reduce the elephant deaths? What are the important measures that government has taken? So some of them include making permanent and temporary speed restriction in identifying the elephant corridor and habitats. ऐसे जगह पे जहाँ पे elephant habitat की identification हुई है वहाँ पे speed restrictions की जाएगी. They would be having that much speed and even making underpass and ramp for the movement of elephant at identified locations. Now provide fencing at select location. This is something that would reduce the death in elephants. Erecting signals to warn the driver about the identifying elephant corridor. अगर कोई elephant corridor से उसके लिए अलग symbols, अलग तरह के basically signs use किए जाएंगे ताकि driver को ये पता चल पाए कि ये elephant corridor की locations हैं. Now sensitizing the train crew, station master to avoid collision with the elephant and clearing vegetations on the side track within the railway line. So these are some of the important measures that were already taken and some of them would also be included to ensure कि जो elephant death है उसकी reductions हो. Now standing committee on railway has also recommended for the same in 2013. They had recommended a strict speed of the train for the vulnerable location and reduce the collision, right? So speed is something which would be controlled to ensure कि elephant corridors में एक limited speeds पे ही train pass करेंगी. Now the translated into the train slowing down to 50 km/h is less vulnerable to the locations. Now initiatives by World Wildlife Institute of India, जो WWI है, उसके WII, they have taken some important initiative in this regard. So WII is an autonomous body which is working in coordination with the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Ministry of Forest and Climate Change, National Highway Authority of India, National Tiger कंजर्वेशन अथॉरिटी और वर्ल्ड बैंक के साथ मिलकर इन्होंने एक डॉक्यूमेंट पब्लिश किया. द डॉक्यूमेंट इज नेम एज इको फ्रेंडली मेजर्स टू मिटिगेट द लीनियर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. राइट, सो ऑल दीज स्टेक होल्डर्स आर इन्वॉल्व टू इंश्योर कि जो नंबर ऑफ डेथ्स हैं एलिफेंट की वो रिड्यूस की जा सके. राइट, एंड दीज आर डिजाइनिंग अ लीनियर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इंक्लूडिंग द रेलवे लाइन, reduce human animal conflict, which is very important, and you can expect this type of question in mains also, and even for the general studies paper 4 in the case study sections. Now, proposed for more electric production under the PLI scheme. This particular news is important for general studies paper 2. Government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it, design and implementation. Also, this is important for your general studies paper 3, where things would be again relevant, जहाँ पे Indian economy and issue related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development are concerned. Now, recently, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology ने एक proposal sent किया है to empower group of secretary. This is also known as EGE, right? EGS, empowered group of secretaries. जो empowered group होंगे उनको एक proposal भेजी गई है कि कैसे गवर्नमेंट और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स को लिंक कर सकती है with the PLI schemes for the hardware part. So last year only in July, the ministry has approved almost 14 companies and 10 domestic companies that are eligible for the PLI scheme, that stand for Production Link Incentive Scheme, जिसमें laptops, tablets, all-in-one personal computers and server were the part under the PLI scheme. Now, detail of the proposal की अगर बात करें, so this proposal which is coming from the Ministry of Electronics, they said that all electronic product जैसे laptops हैं, tablets हैं, all-in-one personal computer servers, they would be including the hearable and headphone also, जहाँ पे headphone, earpods, जो wearable items हैं, smart watches, smart GPS और fitness tracker को also include किया जाए under the PLI scheme. So this is something relevant for your prelims examination. They can ask you a direct question whether these items are included or not. So for time being, government has included it. And a separate new PLI scheme for hearable, wearable and Internet of Things चीजों के लिए भी government announce करेगी by end of April 2022. So next month, government would be coming up with a clear vision that how these items would also be the part under the PLI scheme. Now, जो empowered group of secretaries हैं उनको कुछ specifically कुछ work allocate किए गए हैं, कुछ assignment दी गई है that how they need to work upon. So the empowered group of secretaries is considering the proposal on right now, and they have given the most categories under the hardware of PLI schemes, जहाँ पे government confident है कि इस तरह की चीज़ों को include करने के बाद एक global player और एक newer segment को government include कर सकती है. So the empowered group of secretary was actually constituted in 2020, and they have tasked to do some specific thing. The first is to identify the bottleneck in the PLI scheme, जो खामियां है, जो कमी है PLI schemes के अंदर, उसको identify करना, उसको rectify करना. Second, acting as a coordinator between the state and companies for fast approval. Third is evaluating and ensuring the quick movement of the PLI scheme. And last but not the least is the overturn around the projects, right? So how the things are working, how the budget allocation is being fully implemented, कहाँ पे क्या allocations की problem है, ये सारी चीजें empowered group of secretaries को assign की गई. Now, composition of empowered group of secretaries की अगर बात करें, this would be chaired by cabinet secretary, something again important for prelims examination, and this would be also having the chief executive officer of Niti Aayog, secretary from the Department of Promotion and Industrial Trade, Department of Commerce, Department of Revenue, Department of Economic Affairs, और जो secretary concerned ministry के होंगे वो member की तरह act करेंगे. So this is how the composition of empowered group of secretaries goes. Now, olive-reded turtle spotted new island for the nesting. This particular news is important for general studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and EI, right? और prelims में अक्सर UPSC इस तरह के questions which is related to the animal environment and conservation of animals, they tend to ask the questions, right? So despite the concern over erosion, जो coastal areas हैं with high tide और ये सारी problems वहाँ पे report की गई है रुशिकुलिया बीच में, this is in Orissa Ganjam district, the mass nesting of the endangered olive-reded turtle has recorded a number of, basically जितने numbers होने चाहिए उससे काफ़ी ज़्यादा भी report की गई. Now, on Sunday night, almost 1,14,305 olive-reded turtle was arrived in Rushikulia River. This is in this Rushikulia River mouth for their annual mass nesting, and they have found a new nesting zones. राइट उड़ीसा में जो गंजाम डिस्ट्रिक्ट है उसमें बहुत ही लार्ज नंबर ऑफ पॉपुलेशन देखी गई है ऑलिव रेडेड टर्टल्स की. Now, nesting in the Rushikulia beach, this is a breeding colony which is called Rukri also, and this is the second lasted after the Garimata beach, which is there in the Kendrapada district in Odisha. And wildlife enthusiasm has also come again to raise concern over the sea erosions, because इस sea erosion के वजह से climatic condition changes की वजह से जो overall mass hatching होती है उसमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा problem आती है, and even it has leads to many other detrimental effect to the overall population of the olive-reded turtles. Now, अगर बात करें olive-reded turtle की, this is something again important for your prelims examination specifically. They are the smallest and most abundant sea turtle found in the world, right? They are carnivorous and feed mainly on jellyfish and shrimp, and they are best known for their unique mass nesting in Haribada, which is thousands of female come together to a small beach and they lays the eggs. It's a beach which they lays the egg. और बात करें इसकी conservation status की, so this is vulnerable under the IUCN status, right? So this is something which would be again important. Although you must be familiar with the olive-reded turtles, इसके carnivorous होती है, ये काफ़ी important point है. इस तरह के questions आपसे prelims में and for many other competitive examination this can be asked. Now, looking into the map, this is something again relevant for specifically UPSC Prelims examination. So it can ask you कि कौन कौन से और river हैं, right? अगर आप बात करें रुशिकुलिया river के, this is a part of the other river that is distributed with Mahanadi, right? उसके बाद देवी river है, पारादीप and धर्म, right? So यहाँ पे इस locations पे mostly the olive-reded turtle nesting beach है. This is for the Posco port side mass netting beach है. ये जितने red in color आप देख रहे हैं, this is mass netting beach, and this dot blackened dot is a sporadic nesting beach. So this is something very important. Map work आपको पता होना चाहिए, because they tend to ask the question from the map work also. Now, sub-regional grouping that must get back on course. This is an editorial of the day, and this is important for General Studies paper 2 in mains, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement evolving India's and affecting India's interest. So what I'm going to discuss under this editorial, I'll be simplifying this editorial into some important subheads that include about BIMSTEC, rich marine ecosystem, need for regional interaction, some challenges, identifying the priority area and the way forward. And the entire editorial focuses upon the BIMSTEC summit and its roadmap. बात करें BIMSTEC, that stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for the Multi-Sectoral Technical Economic Cooperation. They are organizing a summit on regional organizations, right? So meeting virtual mode पे होनी है, and this time the meeting is going to be hosted by Sri Lanka, right? Which is the current chair of the BIMSTEC. This is something again important factually for the prelims. Now जो upcoming summit है, ये एक opportunity है where we need to go beyond the generalized statement and take some concrete action regarding the challenges which is confronting in the region of the countries concerning the BIMSTEC. Now, BIMSTEC की अगर बात करें 1997 में इसकी फॉर्मेशन हुई थी, and some countries, the member country include India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, and being Nepal and Bhutan are also the part of it. So many a times they can ask you which among the following countries are the part of BIMSTEC. So you should remember this, right? And there are 14 important special area that has been identified under the BIMSTEC. So these are all the 14 area. I'll read it one by one. The first is trade and investment. उसके अलावा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन एंड कम्युनिकेशंस, एनर्जी, टूरिज्म, टेक्नोलॉजी, फिशरीज, एग्रीकल्चर, पब्लिक हेल्थ, पॉवर्टी एलिवेशंस, काउंटर टेररिज्म, ट्रांसनेशनल क्राइम, एनवायरनमेंट, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट, पीपल टू पीपल कॉन्टैक्ट, कल्चरल कोऑपरेशन और क्लाइमेट चेंज. यू कैन पॉज दिस वीडियो एंड यू कैन रीड आउट द एंटायर 14 फोकस एरिया ऑफ द BIMSTEC. नाउ रिच मरीन इकोसिस्टम की अगर बात करें, so the Bay of Bengal is home to large network of beautiful fragile estuaries where mangrove forest and almost 15,729 square kilometer of coral reefs are there. Seagrass, meadows, nesting sea turtle site की बात करें वो भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा expanded. Now the annual loss of mangrove area is estimated to be around 0.4% to 1.7% in coral and coral reefs. Now it is predicted that sea level will increase by 0.5 meter in the next 50 years. because of the climate change. IPCC के reports के भी मुताबिक, the recent IPCC report has also highlighted this concern, right? And moreover, there has been 13 cyclonic storm in the past 13 years, and Bay of Bengal is a source for natural resources of coastal population. Approximately 185 million लोग इस region पे reside करते हैं. Now, need for regional interaction. Definitely, this is something which is essentially a point. अगर आप blue economy की बात करें, blue economy has a potential in the Bay of Bengal region, and that is a huge contribution as well. So there are many opportunities to develop maritime trade, shipping, aquaculture, and tourism. Now, BIMSTEC summit की अगर बात करें, this must have a regional mechanism for coordinated activities and transboundary natures also. Now, the mechanism must put the urgent measures जहाँ पे fisheries management, जो sustainable agricultural practices है, खास करके fishing methods को लेकर के, and even developing a framework which would manage the populations, industrial agriculture waste and oil spill would be taken into consideration. So these are the priority areas upon which the regional interaction must go ahead. Now, challenges that are there. So some of the challenges that were specifically highlighted include the emergence of dead zone or zero ocean where no fish survive. तो ये कुछ ऐसे areas हैं बे ऑफ बंगाल में जिस पे ध्यान देने की जरूरत है, और ये एक बहुत बड़ी concern भी है. Leaching of plastic from the river as well as Indian Ocean, destruction of natural protection against the flood and mangrove, sea erosion, industrial growth जो coastal areas में देखी गई है वो एक बहुत बड़ी concern है. Huge quantities of untreated waste flow and security threats such as terrorism, privacy है, and terrorism between the countries. ना basically fisheries, अगर कोई fisherman दूसरे countries पे arrest होती है उसको लेकर के भी अलग से agreement है, अलग से एक level of basically resolutions के लिए जानी पड़ती है दोनों country को. तो ये सारी challenges हैं that should be overcome. Now, identifying the priority area in this summit is very important. The sum of area include marine environment protections, जो कि एक high priority होनी चाहिए Bay of Bengal के region में. Enforcement must be strengthened with the share and best practices across the globe. Regional protocols की ज़रूरत है जो guideline provide करेगी एक standard on the जो pollution control establishment है उसके लिए. Decision making must be based on science and reliable data on information making tools as well. Now, if you look into the way forward of this editorial, BIMSTEC, marine ecosystem, or overall long-term strategy की अगर बात करें, so there's a need for a homegrown solution which is indigenous in nature, capable of local institution और mutual learning के through regional success stories बना पाए. So this should be the priority, and there's a need to create regional framework for the data collection. And last but not the least, that the law and policy of littoral state that should be harmonized. एक humanitarian treatment होनी चाहिए fishermen की during their encounter with the maritime law enforcement agencies. कई बार हमने देखा है कि पाकिस्तान या फिर और भी कुछ ऐसे countries हैं वो detain करते हैं, that again led to the problem to the fishermen's community. So these things need to be resolved at the earliest. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answer of yesterday's question. For first question, the correct option is B. For second question, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ of the day. Making Peace with Nature has been recently published by which among the following organization? United Nations Environment Programme, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Food and Agriculture Organization, World Wildlife Fund for Nature. Second question of day. That is vertical launch short range surface to air missile. It is an indigenously designed and developed by DRDO. It is capable of neutralizing aerial threat and close sea जो ranges हैं, including the sea scheme and targets. So you must be aware of this question because we have discussed this previously also. If you don't know, you can check out the correct answer, which would be again important for your prelims examination. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.